Good morning. The topic today is how to be highly effective, and we're focusing on let's remove the euphemism. We must remove the euphemism, the things that are clouding our mind, because the problem we have is that we becloud our mind that we don't see the truth. But once we remove the euphemism, then the reality sets in. The reality is that we are dead before we are born. The reality is that to God, we are dead. So let's get over it. Then the question becomes, what do we do? What we have to do is to recognize God. What we have to do is to start doing the right thing, because we haven't got time on earth. You see, whether you are big or small, of course, there's nobody is bigger than another person. We are all equal. Nobody's rich, nobody's poor. Everybody's rich, depending on the way you see things. So that is why we need to call a spade and start doing the right thing. Because we've tried the wrong thing for several years and we've seen the results. Then why are we still doing the wrong thing? You see, nobody is powerful, or nobody is more powerful than another person. We are all equal. So let's get over it. Whether you think you are rich, you own this, you own that, you are deceiving yourself. Because when the time comes, then the eyes will clear you. Your eyes will clear. So that is why we're saying remove all manners of euphemism. Let's call a spade a spade. Let's face the reality. The reality is that every human being is already dead. That is the truth. Then, what do? Well, God says we repent. Well, we change our ways. So we are deceiving ourselves all the time and thinking that we are big, we are that, we are that. That is not the truth. You know, if you can't tell yourself the truth, then you have you've beclouded your mind, and then you fall victim to so many things that are happening. So that's why we are saying, look, God has made us in His own image. And He has, given us that power to adopt, His unconquerable spirit. Unconquerable spirit God has got. Let me tell you, nobody, God has never been ruled over before. Do you understand this? God has never been ruled over before. God can never be depressed. So that's the same spirit God has given to you. You should not allow anybody to rule over you. That is the truth of the matter. Because we are not meant to be ruled over. And you should not be depressed in any form, because your father, if you adopt the spirit of your father, you are unconquerable. You are unsinkable. You are resolute, unshakeable. That is the spirit of your father. That is what you are missing every day. That is what you are missing every day by being stubborn, by not accepting God, by not accepting Jesus Christ, by not, doing the right thing. So forget about it. Once you show up, then critics will come there. Naysayers will be there, but they are part of the system. They are part of the equation. So why do we allow naysayers, critics, to sweep us, sweep our feet across, the platform? Why do we allow them to, to sway us? Your critics, they have to be there. Naysayers have to be there. Once, it's just the day and night. The day and night, they exist at the same time. So critics and the good people who are doing the right thing, they exist at the same time. So you should not give, any ample opportunity to your critics to sink you. So once you decide on objective, the obstacles disappear. The same thing once you show up, critics will show up. Like as I'm doing this video now, some people will criticize me in their mind. But I don't care because I'm doing the right thing. Because there is no way darkness can overshadow light. It's not possible. There are two things. As far as you're a human being, you are dead before you are born. That is what God said. That is what God said. So all this, hula bula, all the things you are showing up is useless because you don't seem to understand where you are. So all this the things we are doing, all the man is all a waste of time. Because according to God, every man is dead before he's born. Because we lost the Spirit of God. And if we lost the Spirit of God, then we are separated. Until we clean ourselves, until we accept Christ as a personal Savior, and then you begin to move. So that is the message I have for you today. That is the truth, because I have to tell you the truth. I don't have to coat it with sugar so that you like it. No. The truth is, once you show up, you say you want to do something, you start having critics. You start having naysayers. But they are good because they are your friends. Your critics are your friends. The naysayers are your friends. They have to be there. The night is a friend to the day. Because if there is no night, there is no day. So that is the important thing. So if the night doesn't exist, what's the point having day? What's the point having light? So your critics are very, very important. They are your friends. Adopt them, love them, and cherish them. But don't become like them. Because they are the people who don't want to do the right thing. They are the people who don't want to see the creativity in everything God has created. We must rise above our fears, because the fear makes us to be envious. Fear makes us, to look at things in a beclouded way. So that is why I'm insisting today, remove the euphemism that is making us not to face reality, that is making us not to see the thing as they are. Because if you see the thing as they are, then you change. Then you know the equation. You know how to apply the remaining part of your life. Because the life we have here is short. They say the day is evil. Means the day is very short. So if you think you have 1 billion years, then let's start start playing away your time, start doing a different thing and thinking that you will have time. You will never have time. So it is today or never. So today or never, start understanding the right thing. Pursue excellence God has asked you to pursue. We are created in His own image. And that image, one of them is unconquerable spirit. Nobody has ever ruled over God. Do not allow anybody to rule over you. Whether it's your wife or your husband or your children or your friend, do not allow them to rule over you. Because you are going to be accountable to everything you say and everything you didn't say. You are going to be accountable for every second you spent here. So what did you do with it? Nature teaches us everything we need. Nature affiliates us to God. Nature, teaches us everything about God. You are in possession of God as I'm speaking to you. You are created in His own image. That image means the same access to knowledge God has, the same access to knowledge you have. Then if you have the same access to knowledge, why is it not manifested? That's the question. Because you have doubt. You don't completely believe it in your heart that you are made of unconquerable spirit. You are made of a spirit that is for freedom. You are made of a spirit that can never be depressed. So why are you worried? Why do we worry? You have everything, yet you are worried. Everything that needs to be possessed, the whole universe is with you. Then why are we envious? Why are we greedy? Why are we trying to kill our brothers and trying to kill our sisters? Why are we doing things we are not supposed to do? It's because of ignorance. The devil is not a problem. It is ignorance. Because the devil, takes advantage of your ignorance. Because an ignorant person is the person that doesn't know the truth. And because he doesn't know the truth, the devil uses him as a weapon, uses him as a tool to destroy things, to annihilate, and to cause confusion. But the good thing is that the confusion you are causing does not affect the world. No. Rather, it multiplies the good thing. In my last video, I was telling you, persecuting Christians, you're wasting your time, because if you're persecuting them, you are multiplying them. If you tell people not to talk about Christ, you are wasting time, because the moment you say it, you've multiplied it. You've spreaded the message. That is the irony of life. That is the strength of God. There is no way this world will belong to the people of darkness. Nowhere. And darkness cannot take over this world. Nowhere. So this is why we are saying today that we must do the right thing. We must focus on adopting the spirit of our Father, who is God. Are you manifesting God at the moment? Are you being creative like your Father? Are you just being afraid of your shadow? Fela said, these people are afraid of their shadow. They are afraid of their shadow, that they can't pursue their freedom. When a man is afraid, that means the man has no spirit of God. When I mean man, I mean a human being, including male and female. So when you become afraid, you don't have the spirit of God. Because the spirit of God can never be threatened. It can never be ruled over, and it can never be depressed. So if you are doing anything to depress a human being, it's a complete waste of time. If you are doing anything to kill a human being, it's a complete waste of time. It's yourself that is killing. The funny thing is that you don't know that when you kill another person, you kill yourself. You see, that is why whatever you sow, you reap. That is a capital law. That is a permanent law. So you never bother to go to that area. There is no way wrong intention, evil intention will dominate the world. Nowhere. Because the Spirit of God is already in us. And because the Spirit of God is already in us, we have to adopt the Spirit of our Father who is in heaven. God is unshakable. The same thing, you are unshakable. God is resolute. The same thing, you are resolute. Because the same Spirit God has, the same Spirit gives to you. So why are we not doing the right thing? Why are we not loving our God? Because if you love your God, automatically you love your fellow human being. You love your neighbor. If we love God, automatically you love your brother. You love your sister. You love everybody. Why are we not faithful to God? That's the question. Everything created is consistent and faithful to God. You are a created being if you don't know. God made you in his own image. So you need to respect God. You need to be faithful to God. Are we faithful to God? No. Because if we're faithful to God, there'll be no killing. There'll be no mismanagement of wealth that belongs to the nation. People will not be suppressed. People will not be taken into slavery. People will not be taken advantage of. So it is very, very clear. Nature teaches us that God loves us. Nature teaches us that we have to be consistent. Nature teaches us that we must attach to God because that is where we come from. If we are not attached to God, you are malfunctioning. It is as clear as anything that is the sky. It's direct and clear. So why have we chosen the wrong way? Why do you think food stolen is sweeter than the food you sweat for, you work for? Why do you prefer to dupe instead of doing the right thing? The message is very clear. Day and night says that. So no matter how you try to hide the truth will rise up. Don't think the truth will not rise. So you better stop lying. You better stop duping. You better follow in the right thing because there is no time, my brother. Be creative. Use your time well because God is creative. The same spirit he gave to us. So if you are not manifesting this spirit, then something is lacking. You need to reevaluate yourself. You need to reevaluate your values. You need to reevaluate your belief. Do you actually believe in God? Because if you believe in God, you will not be envious. If you believe in God, you will not be greedy. If you believe in God, you will moderate your life. You will come to understand things. Sometimes I ask people, money and advice or wisdom, which one is better? Most people will say money, give me money. But give them money, 5 years later, their money is finished. That is why Solomon, the wisest man, said, look, God asked him, what do you want? And he says, wisdom. Wisdom to understand, wisdom to know the truth, wisdom to separate the lies from the truth. And he chose wisdom. He didn't choose money. But my people are choosing money. Every day they're fighting for money. They never get enough. Every day they're struggling for money, yet they are poor. Yet our streets cannot be built. Yet we live in a dirty environment. Because we are not wise. That is the truth. We are not adopting. We are not educating ourselves. We are not getting the insight. We are not intellectuals. An intellectual is not somebody who got PhD or who is studying to get PhD or get and that's not an intellectual. An intellectual is a person who understands, who has insight, who can separate, what is the truth from lies. An intellectual is somebody who can look at things and decipher to discern what is talking about. You look at the sky and you understand what is communicating. You understand cues. That is an intellectual. It's not somebody who is acquiring books. 1 minute. An intellectual is not a person who is acquiring books like this. No, that's not an intellectual. An intellectual is somebody who has insight, who can look at things and understand what is communicating, who can look at things and how they resonate to him. How do they interpret things? That is who an intellectual is. An intellectual, somebody who sees things and understand what they are. Not somebody who is swindling his own countrymen. not somebody who is stealing, not somebody who is, increasing stupidity in the community. Not somebody who is only interested in, who has not cured his appetite for money and appetite for sex and appetite for power. That's not an intellectual. An intellectual will look at the tree and understand what he's talking about. An intellectual, an intellectual is somebody who will look at this thing. He understands what God is saying in this, and then change his ways. An intellectual is somebody who understands, who has risen above his fears. Somebody who is consistent in what he's doing. Somebody who is faithful in the little thing, the least 10p given to him. That is an intellectual. An intellectual is somebody who is contented with the smallest thing he has, because that smallest thing is also the biggest thing. That is who an intellectual is. An intellectual is somebody who understands that everything is made of love. An intellectual is somebody who understands that he is created, that he cannot separate himself from God. Paul said it, nothing can separate us from God. Is it poverty? Is it debt? Is it money? Is it power? Nothing can separate us from the love of God. Because everything was created in the image of God. Everything, we are created in the image of God. And everything is made out of love and faithfulness. Because these are the two things God functions with. God functions with love and faithfulness. And that faithfulness means commitment, consistency, being devoted to your cause, being devoted to your vision, regardless of any obstacle, regardless of any kind of setback. In fact, setback is a good thing. It is an opportunity to test your values, to test your virtues, to test the strength of your character, to test your resilience, to test your wisdom, to test your insight. That is the advantage of setback. It's not for you to sit down and moan and whinge and complain. And look, the difficulties of the world, an intellectual uses it to rise. An intellectual is not perturbed with the chaotic nature of the world, the chaotic nature of people who are doing things in a topsy-turvy way, who are doing things in a way that that is irregular and disorganized. An intellectual uses this chaotic situation to build up. And that intellectual is a leader. Because we are here to make here like heaven where we came from. That is the mandate God gave us. To convert here to heaven. Are we doing that? No. God is not talking to chaotic people who are destroying things. No. God is talking to you that is an intellectual that understands him, that reverences him, that respects him, that is attached to God. So if you kill one person, billions of people who are attached to God will rise up. Learn from history. Learn from what happened in the past. Have you forgotten the Tower of Babel? Have you forgotten the Noah when the world was destroyed? Have you forgotten, different things that happened in different times? Did they, you've seen the bad leaders rose and then they fell. So what is it that is to be taught to you? That you are a human being, that you are created in the image of God, that you possess the same knowledge God has possessed, and yet you are doing things in an irregular way. You are sowing a seed of discord. You are slandering. I was telling somebody, do you know what slandering means? Slandering is when you say the truth for the purpose of destruction. That is slandering. That is not saying the truth. You see, intention is the most important thing. Like myself, I could be saying this with a wrong intention. So wrong intention, is counterproductive. So that is why slandering is evil. If you go and tell the truth about somebody and for that person to be destroyed, that is slandering. And that is what most of us do. You go and tell your neighbor a lie, something, the truth about something, just in order to destroy your friend. So telling the truth with the purpose of destruction is slandering, and that is satanic. So you should rise above these things, because they're not going to help you. So the topic today is for us to remove the euphemism that is beclouding our mind, that is making us not to understand the reality. The reality is that every human being is dead as I'm talking to you. That is what God said. Including Pope and Bishop. Everybody is dead. And because we don't have the Spirit of God. So that is why our mission today is to always attach to God, get the Spirit of God, so that you can, be unconquerable, so that you can have the freedom to become God. God has created you. Stop belittling yourself. Stop bringing yourself down. Pursue excellence. Pursue the right thing. Do the right thing, regardless of your tribe, regardless of your religion, regardless of where you come from. Truth is universal. Love your God. Once you love your God, you love your neighbor. Paul said, if you say you love God, but you don't love your brother, you don't love your sister, you are a liar. You are a liar. You are deceiving yourself. There is no difference between the love you have for God and so the love you have for your brother and your wife and your children and your sisters. So I'm not afraid of the naysayers. I'm not afraid of the critics, because they are my friends. Because once I show up, they show up. So, but I have to choose between naysayers, critics, and doing the right thing. The right thing of obviously is overwhelming. It's persistent. I'm proud of myself because I have decided to do the right thing. Because I've done the wrong thing in the past. But this is the time to change over. This is the time to change. Because the wrong thing didn't get me anywhere. So it is very, very critical for us to understand where we are coming from. Otherwise, you deceive yourself. Otherwise, you'll be deceived. The truth is that we are all human beings. We are here to worship God. We are here to attach to God. We are here to manifest God. We are here to manifest His excellence. We are here to convert here to heaven. We are here to lead. We are here to change this regardless of what we're seeing. Do not bother yourself with the political topsy-turvy economy, the political situation, the difficult challenges. People are dying. The war in Ukraine and Russia, the war in Israel. Do not bother yourself with that, because they're gonna be there. Rather, focus on converting. Using this energy. Focus on harnessing this topsy-turvy situation in the world and use it to manifest God. Don't go waste your time talking about them. Go use that energy to manifest God. Because if you're an intellectual, you know that there must be crisis. There must be a chaotic situation. But the good thing is, harness this crisis and chaotic situation into a purpose, into the vision, into what you are doing. That is our function. That is what everything that God created does. The diamond, the sun, the explosion that is going inside the sun is not bothered. The sun is using it to produce a powerful energy, which is giving us oxygen and giving us sun and giving us light and giving us everything that is moving, making the ocean to move. So we are supposed to be like the sun. We're supposed to be like tree. We're supposed to be like bird. These have leadership qualities. And that leadership qualities, we already know it. We use it to build cars. But when it comes to applying it to our life and applying it to our community, in our communities and everywhere, in our family, in our community and in our nation, we don't do it. We must apply these things and change our community, change our family, change our community, change our nation. Because God has made us God. Don't be afraid of naysayers. Don't be afraid of critics. They are your friends. They might criticize as much, say as much as they like. It doesn't mean anything. Because why will you be afraid of your shadow? If you like now, show up, you see the shadow coming up. So why are you afraid of your shadow? A child of God doesn't fear. Because he knows who is worshiping. He knows that God rules the world. He knows that God is unconquerable. And the same spirit he has given to us. Thank you.